audio. Can you just give me your first and last name?
Kim Studinger.
And can you spell your last name?
Studinger. My son's name is Eric. He's my middle child, and he's 15. He'll be 16 in May. He likes to be alone. He likes to walk. He'll walk 4 miles a day home from school and not even work up a sweat. He loves to walk. He loves that alone time. He loves anime, computers, movies. He has dyslexia and ADHD, and then recently he was diagnosed with severe depression and with suicidal tendencies. He was diagnosed with ADHD probably in 4th or 5th grade, but it was in the last 2 years that we started struggling with all the other issues. What has surprised me most about Eric? I think it would have to be the fact that he wants to help himself. He can identify his areas of struggle, and he wants the help. He wants to seek out the help and figure out ways to overcome it or to live with it. Eric has a social anxiety, so anytime we go into public or anywhere there's a setting with many people, especially people he doesn't know, he withdraws. And it's difficult and challenging to get him into a room where there's a lot of people, and then once he's in that room, harder to get him to participate. So if there's a group setting, you'll find him in the very back of the room against the wall closest to the door. It takes him a while to assimilate into a group. My hopes and dreams for Eric. He's got such a strong personality, and my dream is that whatever he wants to do, that he would continue to have that I'm going to do whatever I want to do attitude, and that he'll just go out there and do it. He'll find a way to make it work so that he can be happy and successful in whatever he chooses. What are some of the strengths within me and my family? My family, almost everybody in my family are very strong-willed people, and I see that in Eric. And I think it's having that strong will that's enabling us, both Eric and I, to work through some of his struggles together. I see that strength, that strong-willed strength, in Eric's siblings. And that's enabled all of us to just not, so many times the struggles are so great that you just want to quit. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to face this challenge anymore. I just want to go hide and just wish it all away. That's so easy to do when these struggles are so looming every day. But this strong will that's in my family comes through in my kids too. And we're like, okay, yeah, we've had a down day, but we're going to plow through this, and we're going to find a way to make this work. And I see that, and I think that's what's keeping us floating. Members of my support systems. This is a great question. Okay, we have a great support team. First of all, we're in the Chippewa Falls School District. I love the Chippewa Falls School District. I'd been through their special ed program before with my older son, and I actually sought out certain team members before Eric's final diagnosis and before we put the IEP plan in place and said, I need you on my team. Can you help me with this child? And they have. And now this team is together, and they work with Eric every day. They help him in the hallways. They help him in the school day. He has special places he can go to when he needs to, and it's a good environment at school. And even now he is saying he's so thankful for this team of people that we have at the school. Dr. Brandon Young at Marshfield Clinic, and he's our psychologist. And we're working with the psychologist who works with the psychiatrist, and normally those two don't work together. These two work together. These two are working together to help Eric. And then our psychologist, Dr. Young, he actually came to the IEP in a speakerphone in the middle of the desk and participated for the whole IEP. And the school was impressed that he was willing to be there, and he was impressed that the school was willing to allow him to be there. And to have all these people working together to help him is so huge. we go to church and our pastors are involved and the youth leaders are involved and everybody stays connected together so that no matter where Eric goes, the plan is the same. So if he has a meltdown, the response is the same no matter what scenario we're in. We have a huge support team. I love our support team. I've learned that kids are resilient. I think that's the biggest thing I'm learning for Eric. I think that Eric is, especially as we've gone through this program here with the Yippie, Eric has shown me that there's more to him than I thought there was. There's depth to him that I didn't think existed. He was just Mr. Smiley Baby, and that's all he ever did was smile. And yeah, he's smiling now too, but there's more behind that smile. There's this deep personality, this amazing human being in there that I'm just now starting to learn about, and I'm excited to walk this life with him. How would I have people work together in the professional industry? I think my case is an anomaly, but it's a good model because so often the professionals and the schools don't work together. In my case, they did. I hear everybody so surprised when they hear that because that's not the norm. But to have my school psychologist and our medical psychologist be on the same team, to have a psychologist and a psychiatrist be on the same team, to have the pastor and the psychologist working together. I think that when everybody puts their professions aside and they say, what can we do as a team to help this individual? That's where we need to be, and that's what I've experienced in my case, and I understand that's rare, but I would wish everybody would get to experience that. Well, because the medical people do a checklist, and they'll say, okay, this individual has these needs. The school's checklist is different than the medical checklist. So they may say, well, your psychologist says your child has this need, but we don't feel he meets the criteria. So to have them be able to work together and come to a mutual agreement is huge. I really didn't have any because I really didn't understand what it was about. I just knew that I knew Lori. She'd walked with me with my older child since 5th grade. He's now 20 almost. And if she said this was something to do, this was something I needed to do. So I didn't come in with many expectations, but it's wow, this has been an incredible experience. How would I describe the Yippie experience? One, not to be missed for sure. If there's any possible way that you can attend a Yippie conference, this is something you need to do. How would I describe the Yippie experience? I had a special needs older son, and for his whole life, I didn't realize that there was help out there, so I didn't know what to ask, and therefore I didn't know who to ask. I didn't know what was out there, I didn't know what I needed. With Eric, Yippie has provided me all these resources that I didn't know existed. So now I have the tools that if I need the ADRC, if I need the DVR, if I would need the guardianship thing, whatever element or piece of the field of services that are available out there, I now know where to go to get them, whereas before I didn't. And now I'm going into this child of mine with Eric saying, I feel confident that whatever need arises, I'm going to know where to go to get that information and the help that I need. What I recommend for the children or for the parents of children, encourage them to come. They're not going to want to come. They're going to drag their feet coming. But they're going to come and they're going to walk out every month saying, when is the next Yippie conference? When can I go back? The benefit that I have received from Yippie is the lasting friendships with these other parents. To be able to communicate with somebody else and say, I know where you're at, I know what you're feeling. And for them to say, yeah, I know exactly where you've been, I've experienced that too. I'm not alone. I'm not alone in the world experiencing the experiences that I'm experiencing. And I think my son would say the same thing. How would I empower a parent? I probably feel like the least empowered parent. I sit in that room with all these Yippie parents, and they know what they need or what they want for their son. A lot of them do. I'm probably one of the ones that I have no clue what I want. I have no clue what I need. but Yippie's giving me that. And I would encourage those parents who just feel lost to come to this, because you're gonna be found, and you're gonna find what you need here, and you're not gonna feel lost anymore. Does that help?
Oh, that was amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is what we hear with, parents empower parents, and parents accept parents.
Right. We're all equals in that room. Every one of us. There's farmers, there's accountants. We're all equals over there because we're all on the same common ground. We're all struggling with the same struggles. And it's not, I have an Asperger student and I have a cerebral palsy student. It's, I have a student that has a really strong and amazing personality, and we're all in the same place of how do we get this personality, how do we get them to own their personality and to succeed in this world. So we're all in the same playing field. And it's encouraging. It's empowering. Yes. One of the things that kept me coming back, though, is my son wanted to come back. My son, who is antisocial, who doesn't like to be in crowds, who doesn't like to be around strangers, he wanted to come back.
Yeah, that was awesome. So then that kind of leads into the next question. What changes have you seen in Eric since he began Yippie?
Oh my gosh, you can ask every parent here what changes they have seen in my Eric. When my child came here, he was gloomy and dark and suicidal and depressed and angry, and he didn't want to be here, and he didn't want to be in the room, and he didn't want to participate, and he has gained weight. We were concerned about his weight loss, and he has gained weight. He has friends that he is communicating with on their little social media avenues from Yippie. And he's smiling all the time, and he's wearing bright clothes. He's not head to toe black anymore, and he's participating. It took him 6 sessions, but he's in the pool with the other kids now, you know. He's looking forward to coming here and looking forward to hanging out with friends. The one thing that Eric said to me that made the biggest impact to me on behalf of Yippie is that he says, I'm not alone. I fit in here. I can be myself. I can just be myself, and it's okay. I think Eric can now look ahead to the future with open eyes and see, hey, I can succeed outside of high school. There are things I can do and ways that I can succeed. And through Yippie, he's actually been able to ask for and advocate for himself in ways that he never has before. So even within the IEP, he's been able to get tools and resources that help him throughout high school. And now he also sees that those same types of tools and resources are available for him after high school. And he's talking about college where he never has before. So he can plan ahead for the future and say, I can succeed in this world. There are things I can do and succeed at and enjoy. There's so much information that's given, and a lot of it's, okay, I'm going to get overwhelmed if I try to dig into everything that I've been given, but I want it all anyway. Don't hold anything back, because I'm going to need this information, and so give this to me anyway, and I'll just file it so when I'm ready for it. But there's so much information, I feel like a sponge. I feel like I've been this dry sponge for my whole life, and now I'm finally getting wet, and I want more of this. The community action plan is something that I've been struggling with from the beginning, because I'm like, oh, what can I do? What can I do? There's so many things I want to do. How can I only pick one? One of the things I'm very passionate about is, remember when the officers came and spoke with the kids and the adults? And the one officer openly admitted that she had a special need, a disability, and her boss was right there and he had no clue. And she's like, oops. That was priceless. That was priceless. But she talked about how they're trained to help kids with special needs, or to at least identify them, to identify people with special needs. And one of the things she said, it's like, if they had a bracelet, we would just know. Okay, so I'm picturing my son, who's not driving yet, getting pulled over, and or any student, let's say somebody who has Asperger's and they get pulled over and they're saying, well, wait a minute, I was only going 4 miles over the speed limit. I'm allowed to go 5 miles over the speed limit before I get pulled over. They're so strategic, or they're so little in their thinking, and they're so rigid in their thinking that the officer might see, oh, this person's being defiant. If they had a laminated business card in there the size of their driver's license, and they handed that over with their driver's license that said, here's what you need to know about me. I have Asperger's, or I have ADHD, or whatever the disability may be. If that was on that card, the officer would see the card and say, oh, he's not being defiant. He really does believe, because they've been trained and they know that. So I would love to be able to find a way to get those business cards, sized laminated information cards, into the hands of these students who are learning to drive. So that was the very first thing, and I will most likely follow through on that and see if I can do that through the school system or through the driver's ed class or something. However, in all the options of things that I was looking at, what could I do for an action plan for Yippee? There were so many things I want to be involved in. And in the end, the bottom line is, I have a suicidal child. If he succeeds, then no matter what I was involved in, it's pointless. So I need to be able to do something on that end. How do I keep these kids alive? What can I do to help keep them alive so that they can realize their dreams? And then all of these other action plans that are in place around the world will be successful. So our church had a seminar, and Dr. Brennan Young came and spoke, my son's psychologist. And I spoke with our high school youth pastor, John, who was putting this on. He was facilitating this. And we sat down and we talked, and I said the piece that's missing is the parent element. So you have these professionals who give all of this great advice, who know what they're doing. All these wonderful guest speakers that Yippee has brought in have all of this great information, these great tools. And you have the parent who is at a different level. You know, we're in the stupid level. We don't understand what's going on. We don't know the questions to ask. We don't know the things to look for. That piece, that gap is missing. And I want to be that parent advocate. I want to be that person in the gap. So John and I sat down, and he had a list of really good questions, like what signs or symptoms do you see now that you didn't recognize at that time? That was huge, and it was a huge eye opener. I had a list of like 20 signs and symptoms of where these were definitely suicidal tendencies, but I explained away every one of them. None of them I would have said, oh wait, he's suicidal. Every one of them had a reason behind it. So it was really good. He had 4 or 5 really good questions that I was able to bring to the table that then Brennan Young could get up and discuss in his speech or his presentation to address some of those issues that parents have that we're just not thinking of. And I don't know if that will go any further beyond that seminar, but just I think there's that awareness that parents need. Our church puts on seminars like this for parents a lot, and so maybe I just need to talk with John more often and be that parent advocate, saying these are things that parents need to be told ahead of time, not after the fact. You need to talk to the parents who say, my kids are fine, there's nothing wrong, because they're not going to know what to look for. If I had had this list beforehand, maybe I would have said, oh my goodness, it's like the ADHD checklist. You know, you go through, if you have 6 out of 10 of these symptoms, then your child most likely has ADHD. Well, they don't have one of those for depression or suicide and some of these other areas. If there was a checklist like that, that would have been really helpful. And I know Lori and Allison have ideas and plans for me, so I'm just waiting for them to let me know what they need me to do. I think every parent with a youth with special abilities needs to attend Yippee. I think that, again, it's a place of peace and comfort. It's a place of safety. It's a place of learning and being able to say, one, it's okay. It's okay. And we'll get through this together, and we'll give you the tools that you need. And you walk out of here a better person. You walk out of here having what you need to succeed in life, and one less worry on your plate. You're not alone.